Hey, everybody, I'm RJ Baxter with Intercap Lending here with the Real Estate Agent Superstars podcast, where we interview top producing agents and learn about all their secrets for success and tips so that you can get your business rocking. Today, I have a really special guest from Keller Williams Advantage Realty, Jose Bonilla, who just became the managing broker a year ago of that brokerage. And he also manages the Elevate Ave Group, or Avenue. I don't know if you call it Avenue, but the Elevate Ave Group, which is his personal team. He's been in the business 13 years and they average over around 100 transactions per year. So he's definitely a superstar in the business. And we're going to learn a little bit more about what he does to be so successful. And thanks for being on the show, Jose.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit more about yourself. How did you get involved in this crazy business 13 years ago? What possessed you to get involved with real estate?
Yeah, so I think it's a little bit different than most people. From my interaction with most agents, I feel like you kind of just drop into the career somehow and just kind of by default, right? I don't think anybody grows up wanting to necessarily be a real estate agent.
Right.
But with that said, I think I was one of those weird ones. So I used to see my dad. He used to do a lot of fix and flips, and he owned some apartment buildings when I was younger. And so I see him driving around with real estate agents and looking at properties and doing that kind of stuff. And right when I was thinking about going to college, I was like, well, it'd be kind of cool to do that when I'm older and so forth. And so it kind of always I was always attracted to it because of that, just because I was around it. So I went to school for a little while. I actually went up to CU Boulder for a little bit, went up there for engineering, and I decided that was not the path that I wanted to go on. And so I ended up going to real estate school fairly young, and I got my license, and I kind of went at it. So I think that was a big part of it. It was more so just kind of a little bit of my dad's influence as far as that goes, and just started. Yeah.
Nice. So are you from Colorado then originally?
Yeah, I am. So I'm born and raised from Denver, in Denver.
Okay. So has that helped with your sphere and just kind of getting your business going?
Absolutely. Although I will say when I was younger, it was like, no one around me was thinking of buying or selling real estate when you're, 18, 19 years old. Right. So,
Right.
So I kind of had to still kind of reach out and basically do everything a new agent has to do, right? Get out there, prospect, door knock, I was fortunate enough to actually start with, so I started with Paisano Realty with Angel Hernandez. And so I wouldn't be where I'm at without that man. So he basically kind of mentored me. I was at that company for 9 years, step by step, the whole thing. And so it was nice to kind of be guided that way and kind of get to know the business the right way. Yeah.
That's interesting. This very past weekend, I met a 16-year-old that was mentoring to be a real estate agent. And I said to him, how old do you have to be to get a real estate license? He said, 18. And I'm like, What are you doing out here? It's like, I'm just soaking it up. So when I turn 18, I can hit the ground running.
It's so funny. I was doing the same thing. So I was 17 years old. I was taking my real estate classes, and they just kept telling me, hey, remember, you can't take your test until you're 18. But I got my certificates, and we're from there. So
that's awesome. So being that young, so you just right away saw that the engineering path wasn't what you really wanted to do?
No, so I did go to school. I went up there for 2 years and just decided I didn't want to do that anymore. So it's funny because I ended up going to take my real estate courses. I never actually took the test because I knew I was going to college, right? So I went to CU Boulder. And then, after a couple of years, I decided I'm going to go back to school, get my credit hours again. And then I took the test. So I think I actually got licensed when I was 22. Yeah, 22 years old. Is when I actually got my license. But I started being around real estate, at a very young age and just being around everyone. So, yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. So your business evolved over the years, and then what led to, you were with the original company for 9 years. What led to your decision to change companies after 9 years?
Yeah. So, like I said, I learned everything I knew as far as real estate transactions at that point from that company. Great atmosphere, family atmosphere, really. And I basically decided I wanted to grow. So I did want to grow a team. at that point, I just felt like the best thing to do was for me to, look for options as far as that goes. And I did go into, looking into several different companies, and I just landed at Keller Williams downtown, actually. And so landed there. I started developing a team from there. And keep in mind, at that point, I was doing, as far as just transactions, I was doing anywhere from 40 to 50 units a year on my own, but I was losing my mind. So for anyone that's done that type of volume, specifically, or really just kind of focused on a buyer-based business where you're out there showing property and doing that kind of thing. So, didn't have much leverage either at that point, still not using a transaction coordinator like, you're taught to, and didn't really have coaching and no leverage as far as systems and all that good stuff. So it was tough. But I was able to do it with my hair on fire and, working 7 days a week and not really being able to watch my health and, not seeing my kids for days on end and all that good stuff. And, so that was kind of the story. And I knew I needed to make a change. So I got into coaching. I actually started coaching with Danny Morel, with Morel Global. And yeah, that kind of started everything. Started seeing that I needed to develop some systems and kind of start leveraging myself with different things. And that's when I made the leap over to Keller Williams. Yeah.
Okay. So you kind of started seeing that you needed to build a team and get systems going before you went to Keller Williams. Exactly.
Yep.
Okay. And then how has Keller Williams helped you with that, with the systems and with the team building?
Well, it's funny. My coaching and Keller Williams really just spoke the same language, right? It was all about systems and models and just being more efficient with what we do already. And just, jotting everything down. So I will say that once I realized that there was a path to follow in order for me to make real estate fun again, right? That I was able to kind of just take that step by step. And I think the importance of, coaching and being with a coaching based company, right? It's, it's just known for its training is the fact that even when you know what to do, you don't really do it. Right. Until I feel like, a lot of us know what the next step is. It's just actually taking the step. And when someone from the outside looking in can tell you, hey, this is your next natural progression. I think that was exactly what I needed. It was that accountability, that little kick to be like, okay, this is the next part of things. So from there, I just kind of went at it.
Yeah. And it's so hard when you're so busy and so stressed out and overwhelmed and your hair's on fire and you're trying to figure it out, to take a step back and realize that you need systems and need to take that even more extra time to set that stuff up so that your life ultimately becomes easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've been there myself. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So definitely. So, and, I like the story of the golden goose, how, burning yourself out and you kill the golden goose that's laying the golden eggs. So then you don't have, like, if you kill yourself doing this business and don't take some time to take care of your health and spend some time with your family and that kind of thing, you're going to burn out. And ultimately you're not going to have a business. So
right.
I think you were very smart to start taking those steps.
Yeah, absolutely. It was much needed. It was either that or I get out of the business. Right. So yeah.
Yep. So what were some of the first things you did when you started realizing this, to start getting things more organized, to start building a team and that sort of thing?
Yeah. So the first thing is getting a transaction coordinator. So that was something that at least alleviated some of the repetitiveness of the paperwork that we do, while we're dealing with, under contract files and so forth. And that one was easy because it's typically it's a per file basis, right? So I didn't have to, I guess, carry the load of having a salary at that point quite yet. And so that was the first thing I did. But, weirdly enough, and this was one of the coolest things of just being in the coaching. It's like, I just basically got out a scratch piece of paper, blank piece of paper, and I just started jotting down what my job is, what is it that my business looks like? What are the things that I do on a consistent basis, on a regular basis, when I'm helping out my clients, right? When I'm servicing my clients, and every step of the way. Right. And so, what I didn't like when I first got in the industry was like, I would get somebody under contract, right? And my buyer found the perfect home, or, I was able to get one of my sellers under contract. And then I would come back to the office and it's like, okay, what's next? And there wasn't anything really formulated. We had a checklist of like documents you needed and so forth, but like, I didn't have like a step-by-step. And so that was what I was missing. And so I ended up making a list of like, okay, well, once this happens, this is next, and then this is next. And it was the easiest thing on the planet, but it's just that because it was never documented, I didn't really have a system in place. And everybody runs their business a little bit differently, right? So that's, made it my own. And I ended up putting that into our CRM so that,
Okay.
and I think that was the big play, right? Doing it in there, I was able to, once I was ready to hire, then they could use the same systems, right? And so I think that was the big move that really allowed me to start structuring a team, even without me having a team quite yet, and just kind of seeing the vision of what that's going to look like in the future.
Yeah, that's very, very good advice. So what database system do you use?
So right now, I mean, we're actually testing out a couple different platforms right now. I'm still using Top Producer, which is an older system, really awesome, real estate specific. And, we've kind of been playing around with the idea of going to another one. I've been looking at Follow Up Us. Looks like a great system as well. So, yeah, so honestly, and I get this question a lot, and I always go back to like, for anyone that's out there shopping, just the one you're going to use, right? The one that you're actually going to put into place.
Yes.
Yeah, because all of them have their different features and so forth. And I know the newer ones have all the bells and whistles, but just making sure you're actually utilizing it for what it's worth. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. So, I mean, you can, and a lot of times I think too many people get hung up on analysis paralysis, and they're trying to figure out the perfect system, and they're spending a lot of time trying to figure out all the nuts and bolts, and they're not actually doing it. So I think, absolutely. Yeah. So if you can find one that you actually use, that's a really good tip.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because we've got a lot of newer agents joining our company recently, especially with the shift and everything, and seeking out training. And Keller Williams has its own platform called Command, and that thing is like, look, plug and play, go, and it's got all the bells and whistles. And so yeah, we've been looking into that one as well, just transferring everything. I think the only reason I haven't done it is just for the simple fact that I have something and it works, right? And it's just like making that change right now with everything going on. That's the tough part. Yeah.
I'm going through that with my company, Intercap, because I brought my previous database system, and they have one that's pretty good, and all of our systems are dialed into it, but it's like the transition, and I've been using the same one for over 10 years, and it's awesome. And I'll probably just
you and I are in the same boat. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I did the same exact thing as you probably 10 years ago, where I mapped out my system and put it all in the database. And it's been, little tweaks, but it's been almost the same thing ever since.
Well, that's the best part about it, is sometimes we get so hung up on making it perfect, but it's like, just put something in play and then just adjust it as you go. Right. Because I'll be the first to say that what I had in place at the beginning, growth happens, you start scaling, and then you break the system, and then you just have to kind of adjust that and make it a new system. And I'm honestly, right now, I'm at a point where we're developing a new system for that as well. Again.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So tell me about some of your systems. It sounds like you're kind of like the system guru. So what kinds of things do you do that set you guys apart and have helped to streamline your business?
Yeah, I wish I could take credit for it, but most of it is, like I said, it's through my coaching program with Morale Global, and then the other side of things is with Keller Williams. Is Gary Keller wrote a book called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and it's got all the systems and models in there. Yep. And before I even came to the company, I actually started reading it, and I started implementing some of the stuff in there, which had something to do with me coming into the company that teaches it, right? But essentially, all it is understanding that there's different models to follow for every step of the business, right? And I think we forget that, we can either be a salesperson or we can be a business owner when we're in this industry. And so being a salesperson, you're looking for that next deal, and you're kind of just winging it and doing things, as it comes, and kind of reacting to things. And so what I did as far as developing these systems was I wanted to be a business owner. And I wanted to see what that looked like. And so I started documenting like, okay, well, I'm going to need to follow an economic model, right? So what does that look like? And what is my average commission? What is, this and that? And you start working backwards and start reverse engineering. So that was a model that we could implement, right? And then I wanted to make sure to get a lead generation model in place, because riding the real estate roller coaster is terrible, right? It's just you can have a great month and then you don't have a closing for 2-3 months, right? And all the social media highlights look great until that happens,
until there's
right?
nothing.
Yeah, until there's nothing.
Yeah.
So and having an actual model that takes care of those, and having your pillars and your sources, and really just doing a good job, right? Taking care of your people to make sure that repeat and referral business keeps coming in that sense. So developing a lead generation model, so we did that. Having a budget model, right? Like, we can make all the money in the world, and if you spend it all or don't keep any of it, or what your profit margins are and so forth. And so having that in place. And I think the best thing that I ever did was follow this and set up an organizational model. And the organizational model allowed me to see me as like, okay, so this is my company. This is my transaction coordinator. This is my first buyer's agent, which is Robert Gallegos. He's amazing. He's a great leader in the industry as well. And then having my wife become my director of operations, and he actually developed into the director of sales now. Having my executive assistant, and just kind of branching that out so that we have, where's the growth, and what pieces are missing in order for us to get to that next step. And so those were the basic of the models that I was able to kind of, again, just develop through the coaching and training that we get here. And then as far as the systems go, I joke about this, but it's like, once you get, you're able to get your clients under contract, I feel like, a monkey could do your job, because everything is so step by step now, right? And so we basically did it that way, where it's like, even having that reminder of like, hey, make sure to send out this email to the lender, and make sure to, check in with title on this, and remind them to do their job, right? Which, not that they need it, but sometimes it's just that good little extra, catch there. So we got that into place, and it was in every step of the way, right? So it was like, what happens when I first speak with somebody? What does that look like? What happens when they decide to hire you? What does that look like? And making sure we're not missing any step of the way. Like, do we need to send over our home search app? Do we need to, order sign delivery, right? Do we need to every step of the way? Because most of us feel like, most agents that I talk to feel like, well, I've got 2-3 deals under contract, or a listing coming up or whatever. I know what to do, right? Like, I can just order the sign. I know I got to put up this. I know that it's all right here. But when it's not documented, we can miss a few steps. And on top of that, how organized are you going to be if you really want to scale that and take more listings and service more people? And then what kind of guarantee are you giving to your clients that they're all going to receive that same level of service, regardless, of when they decide to transact with you? Because if you're too busy, then you're not going to remember all that stuff, right? But when it's documented, you make sure everything's being checked off. So, developing, I guess those protocols for every step of the way was big for us. And then last but not least is really just, after the close, how are we going to be, valuable to you even after the transaction is done? And I think that's a big step that a lot of us miss if we're focused on being salespeople rather than business owners.
That's so key, because that's a group of people that already know, like, and trust you, that can refer more business and come back to you again and again if you service them the right way after closing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of my best friends came from them seeking out a home or selling a home, and now we've built a relationship around that. And at the end of the day, what is life about, right? It's, I don't know, I adopt this from one of the agents here in the office, but like, just doing cool things with cool people, right? Or doing dope stuff with dope people is his model, right? So I mean, that's what it's about. So if I can incorporate that in my business, in my lifestyle, then that's what it's about. So
Yeah, that's really awesome. There's so many tangents we could go off on right here, but I'd I'd really like to hear how systematizing like this has allowed you to scale your business and what the evolution of your team has looked like. So tell me a little bit more about that, how your team has evolved over time.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, at the beginning, it was a lot of more so like buyer-based business. And I knew that if I wanted to scale, I needed to, leverage systems and people, right? And so giving others the opportunity. So my first agent, Robert, who is now my director of sales, so he stuck with me. And so he had been in the business for a couple of years prior to, and still kind of, doing it part-time. He had another full-time job, and still not really getting any luck, in the industry. And so, we talked, we had a mutual friend. I ended up going to a training with him, and then, we talked about it, and we're like, look, I told him I need an agent. Okay. And you need, some guidance right now to try to get a deal. Right. And so, or try to build a clientele. And so we worked together. We decided to start, and at that point, it basically looked like this. It was like, okay, I've got clients, okay, and I'm overloaded. So here, you take on them, and I'll kind of teach you through that, and kind of you shadow me for right now. And so we did that for about a year. Picked up fast. I mean, he just basically just did everything and took off with it, right?
And that was 2018.
2018. Yep, that's right.
Okay.
Yep. And so kind of took off from there, and then hired a couple more agents on, and he helped me train them from everything they had learned from me, and we kind of tag team that together. And in 2019 was when I finally decided, okay, so now let's split this into an actual system, right? So okay, we have these agents that work solely with our buyer customers, and then I'm going to be working with our seller customers. These are the systems that we're going to have in place for our transaction coordinator and so forth. And that's how we kind of were able to divide the work. So everybody had, I talk about this all the time. It's like, it's so important to have like a job duties or a job list, for every position. Right. And so that's what we developed. And so that allowed us to scale because, there wasn't any question or any overlap on who does what, and, getting confused in the process. And so it was all our clients got the same level of service the same way every single time. Right. And so from there, we just kind of started hiring a little bit more. And then we didn't like grow too much. It was more of like finding those core people. And that's what I believe I have now, that really are all in. We try to make it as efficient as possible, not try to, we break the systems and then we, adjust and do it again, but making sure that our clients, regardless of whether they're talking to me, Robert, my other agents, they're getting that same level of service, in that sense. So I think that's what's helped us more than anything, is creating something that's repeatable and duplicatable, so that we get the same results.
That's awesome. So what does your team look like now?
So right now it's so I'm still more so like the listing specialist of the team. And so I do everything listing based. And then I've got 4 agents that focus more so on the buy side of the business. I've got an executive assistant, Suheli, who's actually literally sitting right here.
Hello.
Holding it down for right now. And then and my wife, who's our director of operations, and then Josh Torres, who is our transaction coordinator, and he's absolutely phenomenal. He's been a lifesaver. So so that's us in a nutshell.
Awesome. And what do you do on the
So
team?
right now,
just podcast superstar. Is that what it is?
yeah, that's true. So honestly, it's mostly listing. So like so year to date, so we're first week of February, and taken 10 listings so far. So that's been nice. my load of the work. And then our team has just under, I think, 20 applications for buyers that they're kind of handling right now. So really just kind of focusing on that right now. So that's my part of the business, more like I said, listing based. I do trainings on a weekly basis. We do script practicing every morning. The whole works, accountability, tracking our numbers. And so that's my job in that sense, right? Most of it is just kind of overseeing. So the nice thing is, like, again, my wife handles a lot of the operations, and then my executive assistant helps me with everything else, basically. And so I do that. That's Elevate Ave. I am the team leader, or basically managing broker, Keller Williams speak, right? For the Lakewood branch here in Alameda and Union. And so yeah, so I basically manage a little bit over 215 agents right now. I do trainings for the market center here. I work directly with our top 20%. I coach and train them as well as our board of directors, who's the Associate Leadership Council. You know, help with a lot of that, as far as like even like regional events that we go to, all that good stuff. And then on top of that, I'm also like you mentioned, a national real estate coach. So I do coach once a week, you know, in group settings. And so yeah, that's kind of what occupies my my weeks right now. Outside of that, obviously family time and so forth. So yeah, we can get into that.
So you managed to stay busy, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I try to stay busy Monday through Wednesday. Right now, Monday through Thursday, and I'm trying to cut it down Monday through Wednesday so I can fit all of that in right now. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. So if you were to rewind 5 years and go back and talk to yourself in 2018, what are a couple of things you'd tell yourself, your 2018 self?
Like 2018 self. Wow. Trust the process. You know, sometimes we start doubting ourselves, right? Like, is this going to work? Is it not going to work? Because, you know, there's a lot of stress and, you know, that comes along with building. But once you built it, you know, it's at that point, that's when you start realizing like, okay, this was all worth it. And now I am able to scale. Now I am able to give opportunity to others, right? And I would say the last thing is, don't be afraid to delegate. There's other people that do it better than I can do it, even though we like to think we're no, it's my way, or this is how I do my files, and so forth and so on, right? And being able to just let go of everything except for the things that only you can do, right?
Those most important things.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So if we take it the other way and fast forward 5 years, what would you define success as if you look back over the last 5 years? We're in 2028 now.
I would say, man, 2028. Okay. So I would say, really is to just get back to, as far as the workload goes, I was lucky enough where before I took on this role, I was working less than 20 hours a week, you know, making over 7 figures and seeing my kids and doing all that good stuff. Right. And it was beautiful. And then I realized I still want more opportunity and I still want to build more. And so I would say that at that point in my life, I want to get back to working, you know, less than 20 hours a week. And really just having enough passive cash flow to work because I want to, not because I have to. And that's really what I'm striving to do at this point in my life.
Okay. That's awesome. How old are your kids?
I got a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old.
Yeah. It'll go fast. I have a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm trying to get to a point where, and obviously, I mean, that's the goal, is enjoy it while you're on the journey too. So, but yeah, it'd be nice to kind of just get back to a point where, you know, do whatever I want, whenever I want, with whoever I want. Right.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Definitely appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a busy person, so definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. Yeah, this was really fun. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you're very welcome. So once again, that was Jose Bonilla of Keller Williams Advantage Realty in Lakewood, Colorado, sharing a little bit about his success. So definitely appreciate him being on the show. And I'm RJ Baxter with Intercap Lending, your host. And what we specialize in as lenders is giving back to the agents that we work with. We believe that it's our job to take care of the people that take care of us. So if you'd like to talk more about that, just give me a call. And also don't forget to share this show. If you got value from this, that's how the word gets out about this. And if you know some other agents that could benefit, definitely get the word out. And thanks again, Jose.
All right. Thanks.